and welcome back to English for Specific Purposes Level A2. We are your hosts. I am Mr. Carter.
And I'm Miss Sophie. Previously, we have already talked about media, we have talked about business, psychology, medicine, and we started another topic, tourism. Today, we are going to continue this topic, but before that, as always, let's look at our agenda first. Today, we are going to start with a brief introduction. After that, we will learn some new vocabulary, and after that, we will read text about services.
After that, we will have a grammar activity followed by a summary of the entire lesson in which we will discuss everything we learned today, followed by some homework.
გამარჯობა, მე სოფო ვარ, ეს კი მისტერ კარტერია. კეთილი იყოს თქვენი დაბრუნება ჩვენს ტელესკოლაში. ჩვენ წინა გაკვეთილებზე ბევრ თემას შევეხეთ. ვისაუბრეთ მედიაზე, ვისაუბრეთ ბიზნესზე, მედიცინაზე, ხოლო წინა გაკვეთილზე კი დავიწყეთ საუბარი ტურიზმზე. დღეს გავაგრძელებთ ამ თემას, თუმცა ვიდრე უშუალოდ გაკვეთილზე გადავიდოდეთ, როგორც ყოველთვის, თქვენთან ერთად გავეცნოთ დღევანდელი დღის გეგმას. დღევანდელი ჩვენი გაკვეთილი დაიწყება მოკლე შესწავლით, ამის შემდეგ შევისწავლით ახალ სიტყვებს, შემდეგ კი წავიკითხავთ ტექსტს მომსახურების შესახებ. ამის შემდეგ გვექნება გრამატიკული სავარჯიშოები, შემდეგ შევაჯამებთ ჩვენს გაკვეთილს და დავასრულებთ ყველასათვის საყვარელი საშინაო დავალებით. Shall we start?
Let's begin.
Mr. Carter, can you please tell me what do you do when you do not like the service?
Well, Miss Sophie, if I don't like the service at a hotel or restaurant, I feel the need to talk to a manager or someone in charge in order to express why I don't like it. In other words, I complain.
Right, Mr. Carter. How do you deal with the complaints generally? Is there any standard procedure?
Well, Miss Sophie, I believe that if you work in a hotel or restaurant, the best way to deal with complaints is to see what is wrong. Why is someone upset, angry, or sad about the service? Once you do that, you can understand what that person is talking about and try to find a common ground and make things better.
Can you please tell us also what is the most common type of complaint?
Well, Miss Sophie, I'm not exactly sure, but I believe people complain when they are dissatisfied with something they thought they would receive, whether it would be the cleanliness of a room or too noisy, or maybe the food just wasn't up to their standard.
Exactly.
Now, let's look at our first set of vocabulary.
ახლა კი როგორც კარტერმა თქვა, მოდით შევისწავლოთ ახალი სიტყვები. Our first word is waiting list. Waiting list is a noun and in Georgian it means მომლოდინეთა სია.
Waiting list is a list of people waiting for something to become available. For example, if you go to a restaurant that's very popular and very crowded, then they might put your name on a waiting list in order for you to get a table as soon as one is available. Waiting lists also occur if you are waiting to buy a very popular item or object, such as a new phone, a new laptop, or even a new outfit or a pair of shoes.
Waiting list, მომლოდინეთა სია. Waiting list, მომლოდინეთა სია.
Waiting list,
მომლოდინეთა სია. Our next word is very much related to tourism, and it is hospitality. Hospitality is a noun, and in Georgian, it means სტუმართ მოყვარეობა.
Hospitality is friendly or generous behavior towards visitors or guests in a certain kind of business. This word is very important, like Miss Sophie said, if you work in a business that has guests or customers. Hospitality has become very popular and very important in today's world. You can even go to a university and study hospitality management if you want to work in a hotel or restaurant.
So basically, if a hotel is a good at hospitality, it means that you probably would like to go back to that hotel, right, Mr. Carter?
Exactly, Miss Sophie. If a hotel has great hospitality, that means they take care of you and make sure everything you want, you get.
Hospitality, სტუმართ მოყვარეობა. Hospitality, სტუმართ მოყვარეობა. Hospitality, სტუმართ მოყვარეობა. Let's look at our next word now. Sightseeing, a very important word if you're traveling. Sightseeing is a noun and in Georgian it means ღირსშესანიშნაობების დათვალიერება.
Sightseeing is the activity of traveling around and seeing things that are popular, historical, or very important. Sightseeing is a great activity to do if you're traveling and don't have much money, because you can always look at things for free.
That's true. Mr. Carter, do you know any famous sightseeing areas in Tbilisi?
Well, Miss Sophie, probably my favorite sightseeing areas in Tbilisi are the Old City and Liberty Square.
You are absolutely right. You could also visit some museums, and we have ancient churches which are very interesting to see. Sightseeing, ღირსშესანიშნაობების დათვალიერება. Sightseeing, ღირსშესანიშნაობების დათვალიერება. Sightseeing, ღირსშესანიშნაობების დათვალიერება. Our next word is booking. Booking is a noun, and in Georgian it means javshani.
Booking is an arrangement to purchase a travel ticket or a hotel room in advance. When you travel a lot, booking a hotel room or a travel ticket, whether it be train or plane, is very important, because if you book your ticket or room at the last minute, that can be very stressful. And when you travel, you want to be relaxed. The last thing you want to do is worry about your hotel room or your travel ticket.
Booking, javshani. Booking, javshani. Booking, javshani. Let's look at our next word, which is peak season. Peak season is a noun, and in Georgian, it actually sounds pretty much the same as in English. Pikis sezoni.
Peak season is the part of the year or season in which tourists come to a certain area and make it very popular. For example, if there is a city by the beach, it is probably peak season in spring and summer. Or if there is a place in the mountains, the peak season is probably fall or winter.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Carter. What do you think is the peak season for Georgia?
Well, Miss Sophie, Georgia has very different kinds of climate. So if you want to go to the beach, then the peak season would be summer. But if you want to see beautiful mountains and go skiing, the peak season would be winter.
That's right. Peak season, pikis sezoni. Peak season, pikis sezoni. Peak season, pikis sezoni. Mr. Carter, do you know the opposite of peak season?
I don't, Miss Sophie. Can you tell me?
Definitely. It's actually off-season.
I should have thought of that.
Off-season is a noun, and in Georgian it means ნაკლებად დატვირთული ან მკვდარი სეზონი.
Off-season is the opposite of peak season, like Miss Sophie said. It is the time of the year where there is a decrease in activity or tourism. For example, a city by the beach probably has off-season in the winter, and the mountains probably have off-season in the summer.
That's right. Off-season, მკვდარი ან ნაკლებად დატვირთული სეზონი. Off-season, მკვდარი ან ნაკლებად დატვირთული სეზონი. Off-season, მკვდარი ან ნაკლებად დატვირთული სეზონი. I think this was the last word in this set of vocabulary.
And I think you are right. So let's look at our vocabulary activity in which we will match the best word with the sentence it correctly fits.
ახლა კი გადავინაცვლოთ ლექსიკურ სავარჯიშოზე. ეკრანზე მოცემულია წინადადებები, სადაც გამოტოვებულია სიტყვები. ჩვენ ერთად უნდა მოვიფიქროთ, რომელი სიტყვა შეესაბამება ყველაზე მეტად გამოტოვებულ ადგილს. Are you ready?
Let's begin.
Our first sentence is winter is the blank for many beach cities. What do you think is the right answer, Mr. Carter?
Well, winter is very cold, and beach cities, you want to go there when it's warm so you can enjoy being outside and being in the water. So, I think this must be off-season.
You are absolutely right. Winter is really the off-season for beach cities in some countries.
Exactly, Miss Sophie.
Let's look at the second sentence now. Something is a popular tourist activity in any country.
Well, Miss Sophie, the key word in this is any country. One activity you can do no matter where you go is look at all the beautiful and different things that that country offers. So, this must mean sightseeing.
Sightseeing is the right answer. Let's look at our next sentence. Many universities offer classes in blank and hotel management. I think you mentioned something about this.
I sure did, Miss Sophie. Also, I don't think many universities offer classes in peak season or waiting list.
That's right.
So it must be hospitality. If you want to learn about how to take care of guests and always give someone the best experience they can have, you need to get a degree in hospitality and hotel management.
That's right, and the right answer, as Carter said, is hospitality. Let's look at our next sentence. You should do your something early during tourist season. What do you think you should do early? And the key word here is probably early, right?
Definitely, Miss Sophie. Something you always want to do early and in advance is your booking.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Carter, because if you do not book in advance, things might get taken.
Exactly, Miss Sophie, and that can be very stressful.
And disappointing.
Definitely.
Let's look at our next word now. Mount Everest has a blank that is several years long. What do you think, Mr. Carter, Mount Everest has that lasts for several years?
Well, Miss Sophie, Mount Everest is a super popular travel destination. Many people want to climb it, and because of that, it has a long waiting list for people to arrive and go.
You are right, Mr. Carter. So I think that the right answer is
waiting list.
You are right. And finally, let's look at our last sentence. Some favorite tourist cities like Paris don't have a something because they are popular all year round.
Well, Miss Sophie,
it's obvious.
Everyone loves Paris, and this answer is very obvious. It's peak season. You can go there in the winter, the spring, the summer, the fall, and no matter what, you will have a great time.
That's true. So you can visit it all year round.
Now, let's look at our second set of vocabulary related to the reading.
ახლა კი როგორც კარტერმა თქვა, ჩვენ შევისწავლით ახალ სიტყვებს, რომელიც უშუალოდ ტექსტთან არის დაკავშირებული. Shall we start?
Let's begin.
Our very first word is handle. Handle is a verb, and in Georgian it means მართვა ან რეგულირება.
Handle means to take action or deal with a difficult situation. In other words, it means to solve a problem. Anytime a problem pops up and is difficult or scary, you need to handle it.
So, in other words, the synonym of handle is to solve, right?
Exactly, Miss Sophie.
Handle, მართვა ან რეგულირება. Handle, მართვა ან რეგულირება. Handle, მართვა ან რეგულირება. Our next word is industry. Industry is a noun, and in Georgian it means industria.
Industry is an activity or business that has become very successful. There are many different kinds of industries, such as the clothing industry, the hotel industry, the restaurant industry,
or tourism industry, or hospitality industry.
Exactly, Miss Sophie. There are many different kinds of industries, and they're all associated with a kind of business.
Industry, industria. Industry, industria. Industry, industria. Let's look at our next word now, which is billing. Billing is a noun and in Georgian it means ანგარიში ან ანგარიშ ფაქტურა.
Billing is the process of sending bills for payment. For example, let's say Miss Sophie goes to a hotel and orders room service and many other things. All of those will be part of the billing in which she will have to pay later.
Billing ანგარიში ან ანგარიშ ფაქტურა. Billing ანგარიში ან ანგარიშ ფაქტურა. Billing ანგარიში ან ანგარიშ ფაქტურა. Let's look at our next word, dispute. Dispute is a noun and in Georgian it means dava.
Dispute is a serious disagreement between two different parties. Some disputes are very small and can be handled easily, but some disputes, if they are big, can end up going to court, and that is never fun.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Carter. Dispute, dava. Dispute, dava.
Dispute,
dava. Let's look at our next word. It's compensation, very much related to disputes actually. Compensation is a noun and in Georgian it means ანაზღაურება.
Compensation is money that someone receives if something bad happens to them. For example, if there is a dispute in a hotel or restaurant, the compensation might be a free night stay for a hotel or a free dinner if it's a restaurant. There are many different ways of compensation, so it's not always just money.
Compensation, ანაზღაურება. Compensation, ანაზღაურება. Compensation, ანაზღაურება. And our last word in this set of vocabulary is charge. Charge is a verb and in Georgian it means საფასური ან ფასი. Mr. Carter, can you please give us an English definition for charge?
Of course, Miss Sophie. Charge is the amount of money you pay for any service that you receive. It's very close to billing. If something is part of your billing, then that is something you have been charged for.
You are right. Charged, საფასური ან ფასი. Charged, საფასური ან ფასი.
Charged,
საფასური ან ფასი.
Now, let's move on to our reading section.
გაიგეთ კარტერმა რა თქვა? ახლა დროა კითხვის დავალებაზე გადავიდეთ. Handling complaints is quite difficult, but it is a part of the hospitality industry. Almost every employee in hotels has contact with the guests and they have to deal with their problems if problems should happen. It's just the nature of the job. Most guests are just trying to relax and enjoy their stay, but some will complain just so they can possibly get something free from the hotel. The most common type of guest complaint is perhaps noise. Sometimes a guest is trying to sleep and in the room next door a party is going on. Or things are not up to a standard as they were advertised. Dirty sheets, broken air conditioning, or bad food service. These problems can lead to billing disputes. If the guests feel that they are being charged for something that they didn't receive, they will probably complain. Employees are trained to apologize and look for a way of solving the problem. But not all problems can be solved immediately. Then the employee will have to find other solutions. For example, if guest is complaining about noisy neighbors, it may be possible to move them to another room. There are two types of guests, those that complain at the time of a problem and those that complain later when they get their bill. The first ones generally want solutions, whereas the second ones are often looking for compensation.
Now, let's move on to our reading activity in which we will determine whether the sentences are true or false based on what we read.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ კითხვის სავარჯიშოზე. ეკრანზე მოცემული იქნება წინადადებები. ჩვენ ერთად უნდა განსაზღვროთ ეს წინადადებები შეესაბამება თუ არ შეესაბამება ტექსტს. თუ წინადადება შეესაბამება ტექსტს, ამ შემთხვევაში ვამბობთ true, ხოლო თუ წინადადება არ შეესაბამება ტექსტს, ამ შემთხვევაში ვამბობთ false. Shall we start?
Let's begin. Our first sentence is, it is a common thing that people complain in hotels. Miss Sophie, do you think this is true or false?
Mr. Carter, I think this sentence is false because I remember clearly reading that most guests come there to enjoy and relax, but some people might complain. Therefore, this sentence is
false.
And we are right.
Our next sentence is, the most frequent complaint is about air conditioning. Miss Sophie, do you think this is true or false?
I think this sentence is false because I remember reading that the most common complaint was about noise.
Exactly, Miss Sophie. The most common complaint in a hotel is noise and having noisy neighbors. No one wants to have that on vacation or holiday. They just want to relax. Our third sentence is, employees are trained to give out compensation every time a guest complains. Miss Sophie, true or false?
I think this sentence is false again because I think employees are trained to find solutions, not just give away compensation.
Exactly, Miss Sophie. Employees are trained to help solve the problems, and that can happen in many different ways. It doesn't always have to happen with compensation. Guests who complain at the time of the problem usually want compensation. Miss Sophie, I remember you said there were two different types of guests, those that complain at the time of the problem and those that complain later. The ones that complain at the time of the problem, I think you said they want solutions.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Carter, which makes this sentence actually false.
Now, let's move on to our grammar activity.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ გრამატიკის ნაწილზე. On the screen, you probably see a sentence. Sometimes a guest is trying to sleep and in the room next door a party is going on.
Miss Sophie, I see the word in is highlighted. Can you tell me why?
Yes, because in is a preposition of place. წინადადებაში in გამოხატავს ადგილის წინდებულს. Preposition of place is used to show where something or someone is located. For example, I am in front of the Eiffel Tower. In front of is a preposition of place. In the English language, we have the following prepositions of place. We have on, under, in front of, behind, beside, next to, near, at, in, between, among, and above. The chart below shows what each of these words represent. You can see the box. Above the box, there is a ball. On the second one, you see that the ball is behind the box. On the third one, you see that the ball is between two boxes. On the fourth picture, you see that the ball is inside the box or in the box. On the fifth one, you see that the ball is in front of the box. The second line, the first picture, shows that the ball is next to the box. The second picture shows that the ball is on the box. And then you see that the ball is on the left of the box. The next picture shows the ball is on the right of the box. And finally, the last picture shows that the ball is under the box. We also use at in the following expressions: at school, at university, at college, at work, at home, at the top of, at the bottom of, or when we indicate the address. For example, I live at 27 Octopus Street. We use in the following expressions: in the middle, in the air, in the sky, in bed, in hospital, in prison, in a newspaper, or in a picture. For example, in the middle of my journey, I decided to write a book. We use on in the following expressions: on the left, on the right, on the first, on the second. For example, on the left side of your hotel, you can find some nice restaurants.
Now, let's move on to our grammar activity in which we will decide which is the best preposition to use to complete the sentence.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ გრამატიკის დავალებაზე. ეკრანზე მოცემულია წინადადებები გამოტოვებული ადგილებით. ჩვენ უნდა ერთად გადავწყვიტოთ, რომელი წინდებული შეესაბამება რომელ გამოტოვებულ ადგილს. Shall we start? Let's begin. He stood blank the door and rang the bell. Well, if you are standing in front of the door, you probably want to knock or let the person know to open the door, right? So the right answer is in front of. The second one, I read an interesting article blank the newspaper. The preposition that you need here is in. I read an interesting article in the newspaper. Let's look at the next sentence. Our headquarters are blank 65 Long Street. Our headquarters are at 65 Long Street. Remember, with the address, we need to use at. There is path blank the lake. There is path above the lake. And the very last one, the relationship blank the two companies has changed significantly over the past few years. The relationship between the two companies has changed significantly over the past few years. Remember, when you want to express that something is the middle of two things, it can be organizations or two objects, we need to use between.
Now, let's look at our summary of our entire lesson. First, we went over vocabulary related to tourism. Then, we had a reading activity talking about compensation and guest complaints. And finally, we had grammar related to prepositions.
ახლა კი ერთად შევაჯამოთ ჩვენი გაკვეთილი. დღეს ჩვენ შევისწავლეთ ახალი სიტყვები, წავიკითხეთ ტექსტი და საბოლოოდ დავასრულეთ გრამატიკული საორჩიშოებით. And now it's time for everyone's favorite
homework.
We want you to write a paragraph about your holiday experience and we want you to describe what made you satisfied or unsatisfied. You need to submit your paragraph on the address given on the screen.
Please, when you do your homework, remember to use the vocabulary that you learned as well as using the grammar that we went over. We provided a template, but please don't copy. We know you can do better. Just try.
That's right. Our next topic will be about engineering. Do not miss it. We will be waiting for you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.